Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Denice Gary Show. It is an honor and a privilege of mine to have a former NATO commander. This is Admiral Peter Kikaraeas, an admiral that worked for the NATO organization in the Mediterranean, a man who has had years of experience in counter-terrorism, in anti-terrorism. He is an expert in global security, crisis management, and an intelligence leader around the world. Admiral Kikaraeas, welcome to the Denice Gary Show.
Good afternoon, Denise. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me there.
You're so welcome. Sir, I read an article that you wrote about the rising threats in the Middle East with respect to Turkey. And I thought about the fact that U.S.-Turkish relations have been in a bit of a crisis for some time now. I think about this particular time, October of the previous year, and President Trump had rightly initiated severe sanctions on Turkey and its government because it refused to release an evangelical pastor, Pastor Brunson, that was held in a Turkish prison for 2 years as a result of his Christian faith. And it even at that point in time, there was a lot of discussion about how Erdogan, the president of Turkey, was really not a strategic ally of the United States, cooperating with the United States. The president of Turkey, Erdogan, has continually stated that he opposes all allies of Israel, which is a striking comment in light of the fact that the United States government under Trump's leadership recognized Jerusalem as the eternal capital of the state of Israel. And yet Erdogan, it's the president of Turkey, has said any ally of Israel he is opposed to. And in addition to that, we just learned, and again, thanks to what you've written on your LinkedIn account, and again, this article on the rising threats in the Middle East, I was astonished, sir, to read about the fact that Erdogan, the president of Turkey, went to Greece and demanded a quid pro quo and got it. And I wanted to ask you about that. So it apparently President Erdogan went to Angela Merkel and said, I want you to give us billions of dollars in order to take the Muslim refugees out of Germany and place them under our authority, or place them on the island of Cypress and push them into Greece. And Greece, of course, is a Greek Orthodox country, and the Muslim refugees there have been, in some instances, I'm not saying every case, but in some instances have been a threat to the people there, to the churches there, to Christianity there. Sir, based on your understanding, is it true that Erdogan is literally pushing about 1,000 Muslim refugees onto the islands of Greece today? Is that correct? And what are the ramifications to this important Mediterranean ally?
Thank you, Denise, for bringing this on, because this is something that is on for some time now. And actually, we remember some years ago when Erdogan started this massive invasion through the refugees, through the illegal refugees, which
Right.
are not for Syria. They are from 16 different countries. And they gathered them in Turkey, and then he sent them through Greece to Europe. And actually, he sent about close to 1 million refugees in Greece, and Greece is a small country.
A million refugees were sent by Erdogan to
exactly.
Greece. And sir, I also understand, I want you to talk a little bit about this too. Is it correct from what I've read that Angela Merkel provided President Erdogan billions of dollars in order to take these Muslim refugees off of her hands and out of Germany, and that President Erdogan not only is pushing them into places in Greece and on the in the Eastern Mediterranean, I believe, but he's also wanting to displace the Kurdish population. They're on the border of Turkey and Syria. Is that correct, sir?
Yes. Every and each day, Denice, Erdogan sends to the eastern Aegean Sea Greek islands about 1,000 plus refugees, illegal refugees, and who are at an age, the most of them of a young age. That
in their 20s, sir. Young
yes,
people
20s,
and in their 20s.
Yes, most of them are in their 20s.
It's my understanding, sir, that most of them are young men and have jihadist sympathies. You say they're from, I'm sorry, sir, did you say 16 different countries?
Yes,
Muslim countries?
From North Africa, from everywhere.
Right.
Yes. And this is a threat, a big threat, because they gather into Greece. Greece is a country that is 95% Christian Orthodox, and they don't want even to see a cross. And Greece is full of churches and crosses and this and that. And it changed the demographics over there, and they might turn to a threat.
I understand.
Many of them are Turks. Yes.
Yes. I understand that several churches have been attacked, that Christian icons have been destroyed, that thievery or robbery is way up, as well as rape. Oh,
yes, and killing and raping, yes, and this is a mess. And the Eastern Islands are really a mess because they have so many on them that they cannot keep them there. And the Greek government is trying to send them inside on the inland every and each day, but where to send them, and it's a big problem.
Talk to us. Can you talk to us about the Blue Homeland Doctrine? You wrote about the Blue Homeland Doctrine of Erdogan. Could you please just briefly explain that to the audience? What is that about? Is that about seizing territory in Greece?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. He started years ago, many years ago, to say that many of the islands of the Aegean Sea, no matter if they are inhabited by many Greeks, are mine, are not Greek, and because he thinks so, you know. This is how they work. Against any treaty, against any international law, against everything existing. So they say that the Aegean Sea is not, under international law. He follows a kind of international law that only Turkey is following. They created that.
Turkey has created its own set of laws that it's following in the Aegean and Mediterranean.
And they call it international law. This is funny, you know. They created that law and they call it international law. And the people that do not know, they hear that Turkey say that they are drilling and searching in waters that these waters are theirs by the international law.
Looking for oil and gas. Looking for oil and gas, right.
But it's not international law.
Right.
This is a law that they created. It is against international law. They are doing the same right now in Cyprus, inside the economic zone of Cyprus, the center drilling ships.
Now, right now, Cyprus, Israel, and Greece are working together in a strategic partnership. And what are they hoping to accomplish? What is Israel and Greece and Cyprus hoping to accomplish by this alliance that they have entered into, sir?
To accomplish security
okay.
On over the seas, that they have the exclusive zone there, and they found already a lot of gas and oil, and they're preparing a big project, the East Med, through which a lot of gas and oil will go to Europe.
Okay.
And we have, we participate there, and we are as
the United States is participating.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly,
okay.
Yes.
And
also, ExxonMobil was the one that found first the gas and oil in around Cyprus. Lots of it.
Is ExxonMobil employing Americans? Do we have Americans there in the Aegean right now working with the Israelis and the Greeks?
And Greeks, yes. Many. We have many.
Okay.
And actually, Secretary Pompeo is going there these days to Greece, to Athens, to sign an agreement with the Greek government, a strategic agreement, the strongest ever agreed upon between our government here in Greece, and for
that's important. That's very important that Mike Pompeo, our Secretary of State, is going there to sign an agreement that will help the island of Cyprus and Greece and Israel to have a stronger security relationship. Sir, with respect to the security agreement that Mike Pompeo will be signing with Greece, is that, sir, a result of the threats and the buildup of Turkey's military? Because we know that Turkey has been escalating and challenging other shipping and planes in the air and the sea. So is this a reaction? Is this President Trump's decision then? Is this a reaction to Erdogan and the fact that he really does not constitute a strategic partner? Yes?
It is a reaction, and it's also a strategic plan, because
excellent.
I've been writing about that since some years now. And this is, we create a defense line to defend Greece and Cyprus and Israel from any threat coming from the east or
from the Turks. Right, from the Turks.
And its allies. Its allies.
Is Mike Pompeo, as the Secretary of State, and President Trump, do you know if they've also talked about another issue that I mentioned just earlier in our interview, sir? Are they aware of the fact that Turkey is taking these Muslim refugees and wanting to displace the Kurds in Syria along the Turkish border? Do you believe they're aware of that? And
they're aware, and Secretary Pompeo, though he was going to visit Turkey, and I heard that he's not going there.
Excellent.
He will not visit them.
Okay, excellent. So he's making a stand. The U.S. government under President Trump's leadership is making a stand not to go to Turkey. Okay. Because certainly by going to Turkey...
This is the newest thing.
Great.
The last days. Yes.
Great. Because, and I'm concerned about the optics of it, sir, because if the President or our Secretary of State, Pompeo, were to go to Turkey, certainly I think that presents an image or symbolizes our approval of the Turkish government, and I don't think that's the message that President Trump or Mike Pompeo wants to send at this point, i.e. an approving message, a message that symbolizes friendship, particularly in light of the fact that it looks like President Erdogan has not only working to displace the Kurds who have historically been there in Syria. They're an indigenous people in Turkey. In Syria. But it looks like Erdogan, and you wrote about this, sir, in one of your articles. You wrote about how Turkey is literally looking to build 140 towns with 5,000 residents per town, and this will basically push all of the Kurds out of this area in Syria. Where will the Kurds go if Turkey pushes them out of their sort of ancestral place where they've lived for hundreds of years? Where will the Kurds go?
No one says about that. No one speaks about that.
We should speak about it.
Inside. They will push inside, and Erdogan will change the demographics of the area, putting there, refugees that are friendly to Turkey.
Right.
And what the Kurds, the Syrian Kurds are saying is that after that, because everybody knows Turkey, how they do it.
Right.
This is what they've been doing since they are there. They follow the same book.
I'm concerned, sir. I'm concerned about massacres. I'm concerned. The Turks were involved in the Armenian genocide. The Turks were involved in the massacres against Greeks for no other reason other than these were Christian people. The Turkish president has said that he opposes anyone that supports Israel.
Yes.
So, and I'm deeply concerned about the fact that, because the U.S. and the Kurds worked very intimately to try to push out ISIS and destroy ISIS in Syria, I'm deeply concerned about the potential for massacres against the Kurds. Is this something, sir, that you have considered as well?
Oh, yes, very much so. And I think that they will move on the way they used to. And first they will try to make this kind of a safe zone, but later on they're going to push on even further and massacre most of them. They know how to do that.
Right.
We know that. In Cypress they did about the same. And also, Denice, 2 days ago, they said to the Cypriots, the Secretary of Defense of Turkey told them that, listen, don't drill inside your waters, because if you do that, if you don't listen to us, we will repeat what we did in 1974 and get the island. She said that 2 days ago. This is crazy.
So the leadership in Turkey is threatening another invasion of the island of Cyprus.
Exactly.
If they continue to drill for oil in their own waters around the island.
Yesterday, the last day, there was a major exercise of the Greek military, and the Turks are very worrying and trying to see what's going on. And at the same time, this something that I read today. In Israel, surveillance aircraft was patrolling close to Cyprus to check and see what's going on in order to help. So
whose surveillance aircraft was that was trying to help Cyprus? Was that U.S. surveillance aircraft or Israeli?
No, Israeli.
It was Israeli surveillance aircraft that was there letting the Cypriots know, letting the Greeks know what Erdogan was doing. Okay, very good. So this is a really important alliance that's developed between Israel and the Cypriots and the Greeks.
And this is something that I've been promoting, because this line of defense actually is the strongest one. And I'm sure that, and I see that we strengthen that as much as possible, because this is the only line that we can, be sure that will stay with us, because they are with us since decades and years and years and years.
You know, Erdogan said just a few days ago, he says, do not awake up the sleeping giant because he will destroy you. When Erdogan, when the Turkish president Erdogan made that statement, do not awake the sleeping giant because he will destroy you, who was he addressing that statement to? Do you know what nation state or what leader he was referencing, sir?
To these countries.
To the United
Greece,
States? Oh, to Greece?
Greece, Cypress,
and Israel?
And Israel, and
Okay.
also to us. And also to us, indirectly to us.
Okay. Do you believe that this safe zone that the Turks want to build in Syria to displace the entire Kurdish population and put in Muslim refugees that are sympathetic towards an Islamic state, do you believe that this president will have to again beef up U.S. forces in Syria? Is that going to be necessary, or do you think that just possibly through surgical strikes using the U.S. Air Force, maybe possibly together with Israel and Greece and Cyprus, that we'll be able to take the Turks on? Your thoughts, sir?
What he's trying to do now, because he said that when we cannot find an agreement with the United States how we make the safe zone, we're going to move on by ourselves.
So Turkey is moving unilaterally.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if they do that, the few, troops that we have down there will have to leave, because otherwise we'll be threatened to,
Won't the Syrian Democratic Forces work with the United States and possibly Israel in order to move against this movement by Turkey to displace Kurds? Do you look at that as a possibility? Is that correct?
Yes, the Kurds, I think, are not going to stay idle.
Right. Okay.
Syria, they will fight for sure. They will fight.
They will fight.
We know how strong fighters they are.
Yeah.
And they will get the support from, of course, from
the United States.
The United States. I'm sure about that.
Okay. And sir, with respect to Turkey remaining part of NATO, are you deeply concerned about the classified information? I mean, we're talking about top secret information that's available to the Turkish government through NATO. That should be a tremendous concern to the President of the United States, and I'm sure it is. Do you know of any movement by the President or his people to come against the Turkish government as a member of NATO?
Not yet. Though many things are on.
Okay.
Many members are talking about that.
Okay.
But it's not an easy something that has never happened in the NATO alliance.
Right.
To keep a member out. It's not easy, but I'm concerned, very much concerned, because they get all the information from NATO, and they most probably share much of the information with Russia, with
China, and Muslim allies. It's a concern.
Exactly.
It's a concern, and NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, I think really made a mistake inviting Turkey in to begin with, because Turkey does not embrace the Judeo-Christian values of the NATO allies, and therefore has continued to function as a rogue regime within the NATO alliance, and it's deeply concerning. I want to give you the last word, sir. We cannot depend on Turkey to uphold U.S. interests in the region. What do you see ultimately happening And oh, by the way, we're getting a lot of noise from a barking dog. Is there any way you can move away from that noise?
I'll try.
Thank you. It's disruptive. What should we do with respect to Turkey in light of the fact that Turkey fails to uphold U.S. interests as well as our other NATO allies in the region? What should we do, sir?
Denice, I did not hear the last sentence that you said.
I said, what should the United States of America and our NATO allies do to prevent Turkey, who does not represent U.S. interests in the region or NATO interests in the region? What do you see the United States of America doing under President Trump's leadership, or what would you like to see done, sir?
What I would like to see is that to put sanctions on Turkey.
Sanctions.
Because this is something that hurt Turkey very much, and Erdogan, the economy.
Right.
If they don't have the money, if they don't get the money, if their economy is hurt, then the people will go against him, and so he will understand that he has to change course a little bit.
Okay.
And at least for the moment.
So
and then little by little, as I write, we need to move out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Out of our, we don't need to be in this base of Islamic.
Right.
Because, believe me, Denice, I see that if we continue to do that, very, very soon they're going to kick us out of there by force.
Sure. Okay. And also they have access to U.S. nuclear, to the United States nuclear arsenal.
Exactly.
They're in Turkey. Very dangerous. Absolutely.
We need to understand that we cannot change them.
Right. We cannot change them. You are right. We
cannot change them. No, nobody can change
right.
them. Even if they change the president, there will still be extreme Islam.
Yes. And as extreme, an Islamic or an extreme Muslim state. That is correct, sir. They've never actually moved away from that.
No, never.
Some people say, well, they were more secular once upon a time, but they've always remained an Islamic state. And as a result, there's always been persecution and pushback against Christians and, of course, against the state of Israel and our U.S. allies.
Exactly.
Sir,
yes.
Go ahead.
Denise.
No, go ahead, sir.
And this is something that we have to keep in mind, that we know them now, that the Islamists might sleep for a period of even 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and then wake up and do the same thing. So we cannot rely upon them.
Right.
We need to understand that. Our strategic planning cannot rely on them.
Thank you, sir. You've worked in the region. Again, NATO Commander, been involved and worked your adult life in counter-terrorism, fighting Islamic terrorism. I want to appreciate your input, sir. Thank you so much, and have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Denice, for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry about that barking dog. We couldn't seem to get him away from that. Ladies and gentlemen, I need for you to support this broadcast. We need to hear from you. The Middle East Initiative is a 501c3. It is a nonprofit. It's my nonprofit educational foundation. We're not paid by anyone. I want to thank our advertisers, Frugati's Restaurant and Annotate's Products, for continuing to advertise on the Denice Gary Show. But we really need to hear from you. And we need to hear from you very soon. So I hope that all of you will take a moment. You can go to my website, A New Middle East. PayPal, secure PayPal site is there on my website, A New Middle East. You can make a PayPal contribution, or you can make a tax-deductible contribution by writing a check or sending, if you so choose, an anonymous money order. Your decision. But I really need to hear from you. So if you could send some support to the Denice Gary Show, please write the check or money order out to the Middle East, the Middle East Initiative. Send it to P.O. Box 82162. 82162. It's there on your screen. Bakersfield, California, 93380. Thank you for sending that today. We really appreciate it. And let's go to our Frugati's commercial, the best Italian restaurant in all of Kern County. Thank you.
I want to tell you about a place I love to go, Frugati's Italian Restaurant. Very few locations here provide seating outside in front of a fabulous water fountain with an atmosphere that is reminiscent to me of eating outdoors in Venice. This is real Italian food by real Italians. And what makes it even more so is owner Ralph Frugaletti, who nearly a quarter century ago brought a wood fire oven from Milan, Italy to make, like his mother, fresh homemade bread and pizzas. Moreover, Frugati's restaurant offers you not only the very best in Southern Italian cooking, even importing the finest ingredients for authentic Italian food, including a fitness menu. After all, Ralph has represented the United States and Italy, competing in the Master Championship Games. He knows all the right food for good fitness, so check out the menu. After today's broadcast, run over to Frugati's Italian Restaurant and Catering at 600 Coffee Road here in Bakersfield. And after a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday service, stop into Frugati's for a great lunch. I'll see you there, and tell Mr. Ralph Frugaletti that Denise sent you. Salute. Buon appetito.
Anita's Products, ladies and gentlemen, a forward-leaning manufacturer that sells to all the major defense companies. Anita's not only manufactures but distributes hardware sold to companies like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, United Technologies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, General Electric. Anita's Products is located in the hub of the aerospace industry, right here in Central California, in Kern County. Anita's is there, servicing and taking care, meeting the needs. They're at Edwards Air Force Base, China Lakes Weapons Center, Strata Launch. Give them a call. Scott Baker, former Marine Corps officer, 661-822-6873. 661-822-6873. Call Scott Baker and let him know what you need, and they can handle any top secret project, ladies and gentlemen. Anita's Products, 661-822-6873. That's the number you want to call. That's the number that you want to dial every time you need your hardware needs met. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to the Denice Gary Show. I want to thank Admiral Kikarias. I so appreciate having a former NATO Admiral Commander on the broadcast to talk about some of the rising global threats we see around the world today. Have a great and blessed weekend. This is Denise signing off.